Once upon a time, I lived in a castle. It wasn't my castle, of course. It belonged to the king and queen. And I was their jester. I was always juggling and dancing, doing tricks and making people laugh. But after a while, it would get a bit boring. One night, when everyone was fast asleep, I decided to take a walk around the castle. No one could tell me where I could or couldn't go. I could go to Merlin's study, I thought. He wouldn't be there to tell me, "Don't touch this," or "Don't touch that," or "Don't read from the magic spell book. It is not a toy for idle hands." Just a little peek, I thought. So I headed off to his study. I stood outside his study's door and gently pushed it. The door squeaked its disapproval at me. Sure enough, it was empty. He wasn't there. I took a few cautious steps inside. There was all manner of things in there, like toad's warts and troll's blood and dragon's scales. And as I looked further still, there it was. At the back of the room, on a plinth, was Merlin's magic spell book. Caution had obviously gone out the window at this point, as I ran towards the plinth. I started rummaging through its pages and saw untold numbers of spells. Some for the most experienced wizards, or some just for the plain lazy. Most of the spells needed a lot of ingredients for which I had no hope of getting right now. After quite some time, I was finally getting tired, and I realised that it was getting late. People would start waking up soon. I took one last glance, then closed the book. Just then, I saw a flash rush past the window, which lit up the room. I stepped over and unsteadily leaned out the window and saw a shooting star. Suddenly now, wide awake, I remembered a spell that could draw in the power from shooting stars. A collective spell. I dashed back over to the book, rifling through its pages. In finding the spell, I pulled the book away from the plinth and over to the window. I held my hand aloft and whispered the incantation to cast the spell. It must have been working because the star was coming closer to me. It was only when I looked down and saw my feet 100 feet from the ground that I realised that I was wrong. I found myself hovering over the castle grounds, unable to stop myself. I was floating through the air with no idea how to stop myself. Up this high, I could only hear the wind. Only the wind was getting louder. Confused, I turned my head. A huge dragon, because that's the size they usually come in, was on a nighttime fly, and I was in its way. Before I took breath again, it had me in its claws. Try as I might, I wriggled and wriggled, but the beast just squeezed tighter. We flew over lakes and hillsides until it finally loosened its grip. I forced myself out and away from the thing. Now, falling, I started to regret getting free. Thankfully, though, some trees broke my fall. Battered and tired now, I forced myself up. I saw a cave, and figured that I could probably do better. Then I heard the dragon again, circling overhead. The cave started to look quite good now. I hobbled towards it. Breathless, I leaned against the cave wall, trying to breathe normally. Once again, the dragon made it clear that it was looking for me, and he was going to get me. So I stole myself inside. Halfway in now, I tried again to regain my strength. I slowly started to feel better. Woof! The ground shuddered outside. The dragon had found me. Thinking that it would be too big to enter, the dragon comfortably walked in. Almost like it lived there. I cursed my situation and backed away from it. I backed up until I felt the cold, hard surface of the end of the cave. There was nowhere to run. The dragon came closer, closer. With every step it took, all I could feel was fear. It finally opened its enormous jaws and let out a deafening roar. Then, after that, I didn't feel anything, because I was gone. I washed my face and turned to the mirror. And I thought, just for a moment, what if I met a dragon?